So why would we want to freeze dry canned fruit? There's a lot of good reasons, and today we're going to talk about it. So today we're going to take these cans of fruit and we're going to take them out of the cans. We're going to strain off the juices that they're in and we're going to get them into the freeze dryer. But why would we want to do that? Why not just take the can of fruit with you? Well, each of these cans weighs almost 2 pounds. Now, if you're going on a hike and you don't want to carry the weight of a can, bring a can opener and worry about what do I do with the can when I'm done, freeze drying gives you a great option. With something like the fruit cocktail we have here, because we have peaches, pears, and fruit cocktail. The fruit cocktail, let's say you're going camping and you want something hot in the evening, you can add hot water to the fruit cocktail. And it makes it awesome. It's a nice little evening snack. If you have a little bit of cinnamon with you, sprinkle some of that on the top. It's delicious. Fresh fruit, always a better option. But sometimes this is what you have or it's just what you want. And there's nothing wrong with that either. We're definitely not food snobs in this house. Everything doesn't have to be perfectly fresh off the tree to be able to preserve it. Is it the best? Yes. Would we prefer to do that? Yes. But sometimes this is a nice option. And just getting out there for people that there are other options if something fresh isn't available to you. And this is food. It's something that it's going to keep longer freeze dried than it will in a can. And it gives you other options. So we're going to take these. I'm going to get the cans open and we're going to start getting them on the tray. And we'll talk a little bit more about what happens when you freeze dry canned fruit. I'm going to start with the fruit cocktail. Now these, I just wanted to mention, are 30-ounce cans. So the first thing I'm going to do is just pour them into a strainer. And I'm not too worried about the juice that's on them. I'm going to bang out these cans. Don't want to miss any good fruit. So I'm just going to get the majority of the liquid out. And there we go. And then I'm going to be putting 2 cans per tray. So let me get this a little closer so I make less of a mess. Move that over. We're going to put this here on the tray. We're going to do the same thing with the second can. And then I'm going to spread this out on the tray and I'll come back as soon as I have that done. Now that I have both cans on the tray, I'm just going to use my little spatula. I'm going to spread it out evenly. One of the big things you want to do is make sure it's not coming up over the edge of the pan. So I'm just going to level this out, get it even or as even as I can. And then what I'm going to do with these trays is I'm going to, as I finish each tray, I'm going to put a cover on it because I'm going to throw these into the freezer and let them freeze for a while before I put them into the freeze dryer so that it's a quicker process. So now that I have this tray done, I'm going to move on to the pears. So I've got the pears and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to pour them in. And this is where I get all messy and sticky. And speaking of that, this fruit juice isn't going to go to waste. Things you can do with it, you can freeze it into pops for the kids on those hot summer days. You can condense it down and use it like a thicker fruit syrup for desserts. If you have other ideas on things that you can do with this syrup, please make sure you leave a note in the comments. I think we're going to have quite a bit of it to do things with. Now we're just mixing the pear, the peach, and the fruit cocktail syrup all together. But I guess if you had a special use for one flavor or another, you could do it separate. One thing I did want to mention is with the pears, and I'm just going to take this out. The pears in the can are pear halves. And though I'm sure they would freeze dry fine this way, I'm actually going to do them into slices. So I'm going to cut each one so it's like eighths. Let's see if I can do this without getting my hands all sticky and messy. There's that one, and that one. So that they're thinner slices. One, I think it's better for the kids. Two, I know if I cut everything the same, the freeze drying time and consistency is going to be equal. So let me get all the pears done. I've got 4 cans, so we're going to end up with 2 trays of that, and then I can get the peaches done. Well, all 5 trays are now full. The peaches are out. The peaches were all pretty much already sliced up. I think I only had to cut 1 or 2 pieces in half. So those are good, but I wanted to show you how much juice I ended up with at the end. So I have 3 very full quart jars of juice. So I'll be putting this in the fridge for the moment and then deciding what we're going to do with it after. I'll be looking for your comments to see what ideas you had. Well, best laid plans failed again. I didn't have room to fit all 5 trays into my freezer. So I'm just going to put them right into the freeze dryer as they are. It'll take just a little bit of extra time, but the Harvest Right freeze dryer doesn't have any problems with that. So remember, if you have any questions about how we freeze dry, why we freeze dry, make sure you leave them in the comments. I'll also make sure for anybody out there who's thinking about purchasing a freeze dryer or wants more information about freeze dryers from Harvest Right, I'll leave our link in the description. And in the meantime, let me get this started so that we can get it going, and then I'll be back when they're done. We have the trays out of the freeze dryer. It's the next evening. It's been about 24 hours. And we have our fruit cocktail, our 2 trays of pears, and our 2 trays of peaches ready to be taken off the trays, put into some Mylar bags with an oxygen absorber, and ready to be picked up so my daughter and her family can take these when they go on their hike. I'm going to get these in the bags. I'm going to keep a little bit of each out, and I'll come back and show you how they did with freeze drying, and then we'll give a taste and see how great they taste. Well, everything's off the trays, into bags, labeled, sealed up, ready to go. We're going to take a look at how they turned out. So first, we've got our peaches. It's dried all the way through. Our pears, same thing. They snap when you break them apart. And our fruit cocktail, same thing. So they dried really well, but I'm going to be completely and utterly honest. Would I ever want to freeze dry canned fruit that's in a heavy syrup again? No. I have freeze-dried fruit that's in natural juices before without any added sweetener, and it did not end up as sticky as this. It was a challenge trying to get it off my freeze dryer trays, and I'm really not super looking forward to cleaning them. Some really hot soapy water will do a great job and they'll clean off just fine. But it is a very, very sticky, though dry, result. So let's take a taste. Wow. Very sweet. To me, this tastes very like, it's more like a candy snack than fresh. The flavor is definitely there. It's good and strong. We'll try the pear. Same thing. Difference with the pears almost like melt in your mouth when you eat them. Very good. Now I'm going to try something different with the fruit cocktail. I'm going to add a little bit of water. And then I'm just going to give it a quick little stir. We're going to let that sit for just a minute. Whoop, it's going to slide. Trying to keep this here on my pile. While I let this sit just for a minute, I'm going to go over. I ended up with 4 bags of pears, 4 bags of peaches, and 2 bags of fruit cocktail. And if you remember, we had 2 trays of pears, 2 trays of peaches, and 1 tray of fruit cocktail. So that came out correct. So after just that short period of time, it's rehydrating already. So it doesn't take long Here's a piece of pear, and it's super, super soft already. So let's see. Yeah, soft as if I just had it out of the can. It's going to take a little, let's try a cherry. Super, super soft. Try a peach. That needs just a minute more. Still a little crunchy, but yummy. And we'll try a grape. This one. Soft, like I just took it out of the can. Now, I drained off, if you remember, I'm gonna just set this to the side. I drained off the syrup from these, and I'm glad I did, because in the past I've freeze-dried some really sugary things and they have expanded and made a mess in my freeze dryer. Draining the extra syrup off these, I didn't have any problems at all. It didn't make a mess. So that was a good thing. So I'm gonna clean up my little mess here and I'll be right back. Well, the last thing I'm gonna need to do is get these into a bag so that the next time my daughter stops by, I can make sure she has these to take. One last note, because of how sticky these are, I am not going to suggest keeping this batch for a long-term storage. It's great for shorter term, but I'm not gonna say 10, 15 years for something this sticky, because I don't know how well that's gonna go. So final thoughts. I love freeze drying fruit. My suggestion is fresh fruit or fruit that's in natural juices as opposed to something that's in a heavy syrup. I will, as I mentioned earlier, I will make sure to leave a link to anything used in this video, including our Harvest Right link, for you to take a look at if you have any interest or if you want to purchase anything. So that'll be in the description. And if you would like to see us attempt to freeze dry something different, please make sure you leave us a comment. We'd love to try out some fun stuff, maybe things we haven't freeze dried before. And until next time, everybody, take care.